Gosselin has the vet's flag with him. Ladies and gentlemen, you probably noticed that our canopies with the distinct Canada flag pattern are shaped like airfoils and pressurized by air. They are open in the front and close in the rear. The average forward speed is 40 kilometers per hour. Speed and rate of descent vary by use of control lines, or what we call toggles, attached to the tail. And ladies and gentlemen, they break off to set up for landing. Let's welcome Sergeant Dave Smith, Corporal Donald Viel, and Corporal Steve Gosselin, who have performed for you the Canadian team. Ladies and gentlemen, we would also like to extend a sky-high welcome to the lovely Miss Mineup 97, who is here today, enjoying what they can do. 8, 9, 10, count with me folks, 11, 12, 13, and he keeps on going, 14, 15, 16, 16, ladies and gentlemen. Way to go, Corporal Eric Labbé from Montreal, Quebec with the candy cane. As he sets up for landing, let me formulate this demonstration. Captain Bob Evans, Commander of the aircraft, First Officer Captain Matt McMillan, Navigator Captain J.F. Godbout, Flight Engineer Master Corporal Larry McKee. Captain Evans demonstrating some of the unique capabilities of the Buffalo, which will allow it to excel in its primary role of search and rescue. In this role, the aircraft normally carries a crew of 6 highly trained personnel, consisting of 2 pilots, a navigator, a flight engineer, and 2 search and rescue technicians, commonly referred to as SARTECs. Buffalo is a twin-engine turboprop aircraft manufactured by de Havilland Aircraft of Canada. It is capable of operating from short and semi-prepared airstrips due to its short takeoff and landing performance. While capable of flying low and slow, the Buffalo also able to cruise at over 220 knots. It is also used as a medium transport aircraft. Excellent maneuverability and slow speed flight characteristics make it an ideal platform in the mountainous terrain of British Columbia. During the 1970s and 80s, the Canadian Forces had 15 Buffaloes in service, operating from bases from coast to coast. Today, 442 Squadron is the sole remaining user of the CC-115 Buffalo in the Air Force operating fleet of only 6 aircraft now. Coming in now for the straight approach, and this is the slow pass, the dirty pass of the Buffalo, with the flaps down, approximately 95 knots, just 180 kilometers per hour right now. Landing gear flaps extended. In this configuration, the aircraft generates tremendous amounts of drag, which allow it to descend at a high rate at a very steep angle. Capability is used by the crew to perform dolly shoots, a maneuver during which the airplane is flown inside steep ravine or canyons to search for missing aircraft. This attribute is essential on the flaps, executing a 360-degree turn, 45 degrees of bank. Notice in the turn the aircraft does not leave the outer fence of the airfield. Executes a full turn with approximately 3/4 of a mile. The ability to execute very tight turns allow the Buffalo to operate effectively in the numerous tight mountain passes again in valleys of British Columbia. Is over 39,000 pounds. The airspeed on this approach is as low as 65 knots, 120 kilometers per hour. The same speed as many of a small 2-seat or 4-seat aircraft, or even your car down the highway. After touchdown, the Buffalo is able to stop at about 500 feet by reversing the thrust of its 2 14-foot propellers and throttling up its 2 3,000 horsepower engines to maximum output. By way of comparison, most civilian airliners will use 8 to 10 times more runway than the Buffalo in both the takeoff and landing phases of flight. With a steep angle, again, you'll only need about 500 feet here, 39,000 pounds of airplane coming down right now. All of that weight and all of that energy at about 120 kilometers per hour, 65 knots. As soon as he gets it down, he'll change the pitch of those big 14-foot propellers. Changing the pitch now, throwing a power all the way up, 3,000 horsepower, pushing the other way, slowing that 39,000-pound object down, bringing it to a stop well within 500 feet, and actually pushing it backwards down. This is another unique capability. By reversing the thrust of its propellers, the airplane's able to back up. This capability allows the airplane to backtrack on runways, which are extremely short or narrow, and which do not allow out there in his hand. He is out through the top. The flight engineer, Master Corporal Larry McKeeve from Comox, British Columbia, is on board as well. And again, Captain Bob Evans of Saskatoon. This one is slightly modified to be called the Showcat. And Mr. Air Show, Gene Soucy, is at the control. And this will be one of our airplanes allowed to break the sonic barrier, if you will. And I know you're questioning that, going, it's a biplane, Rick. It's the propeller that's going to go supersonic. And believe me, this airplane makes as much noise as the jets. When that prop bites into the air and the tips break the sound barrier, it makes that wonderful buzzing noise, that sawing noise. Well, I don't like to call it noise, that sound. That beautiful sound from that radial engine, that big Pratt & Whitney engine, as it flies through some incredible aerobatics. The aerobatics that Gene Soucy is known for, one of the most well-respected and proficient airshow pilots in aviation. We're glad to have him here, up from the States. Gene's telling us he's ready with all the smoke. Here he goes. Listen to it. Fight into the air. Mr. Air Show, Gene Soucy. Doesn't need a lot of runway either, does he? Already up he goes with all that power. Oh, it's going to look pretty in this boost track. There's those little sonic booms coming off the wings. Look at the Showcat now. There's the smoke still out. Soucy, winner of more awards than any other actor. With a big barnstormer's roll. Back up into the aerobatic box to the left out and get turned around. At age 22, taking in the youngest competitor flying. Climbing up now, that airspeed bleeding off to about 45 knots. About less than that now as he gets it over in the hammerhead. And on the way down, building up his speed to about 190 knots. Nice hesitation roll. 4 points all the way around. Flying upside down as long as he wants. But again, now climbing to turn that altitude into energy before. Nice and crisp. Gene here this weekend. Welcome and sponsored by Saskatoon Jubilee Ford at 650 AM CKOM News Talk Radio. Of course, Gene will make his way up to the tent afterwards, talk to you, sign some autographs, tell you about organ donations. He's a kidney recipient, and Teresa Stokes was the donor. It's just a wonderful story. Be sure to ask him about it. And we'll see her back a little later this afternoon. On top of that Showcat. Coming back down here on the ground in front of us. Just a little bit different. Super Late Model Stock NASCAR Dodge Weekly Series Pontiac Grand Prix. What's the victory circle? Down he goes. I'd like this for circle drive once here. Get fun. Holy smokes! Do you think Alex is having any fun? No, Dano, I haven't seen anything like this since my mother tried to get her driver's license again. How much tire do you think he has left?
Not nearly as tired as I told about your mother-in-law.
Thank you, Dano. All right, Alex, there is such a thing as too much fun. He does have a radio, doesn't he? We may never be able to get him back in here.
I think it's tuned to Magic 8.3 though, Rick. It's not listening to us.
Boy, to be able to just have a runway at your disposal and a car like that. The good news is the rubber can't last forever. Whoa. You know, NASCAR keeps talking about coming up to Canada here and running a few races, and I think that'd probably go over pretty well locally. What do you think, folks? We need a Canadian driver in that NASCAR series. Might be Alex, might be Paul Tracy sometime soon. I know a few things about burnouts, Dano, and that's got to be a pretty stinky car inside right now.
Yeah, but he won't have any trouble with the mosquitoes.
Oh, there goes the tire, folks. And that's the sound of the end of the show. That had to be a tire.
He did the exact same thing yesterday. He just plays with it until he loses it. It's a lot of fun until somebody loses a tire. Or as we would say in NASCAR, car.
I was giving you a big wave, folks, there. Again, you give Alex a wave. Alex Lashenko from Saskatoon. Super late model stock car of the NASCAR Dodge Weekly Series.
Saskatoon Network on the next in the next seat. So
I was just going to say, Dano, I found out when I flew actually a couple of times this year that they don't unscramble all the channels.
But most up in your room at night. But they do unscramble most of the ones that everybody else is watching.
Thank you, Dano.
Always helpful, Dano. Always here to help.
But it is great. You're flying with the kids and they can watch the channels, like the Teletoons and stuff. Up he goes, and now over he goes. With its two F404 engines producing 32,000 pounds of thrust, you'll be able to see a great example of the right. Coming down a completely human 8 in front of us. Watch now. Next repositioning maneuvers. On its next pass, he will have a topside pass, so have your cameras ready as he shows us the topside silhouette of the CF-18. Now we're ready for the topside pass, the CF-18 Hornet. Now the next pass will demonstrate the agility of the Here comes the pull. 7 Gs on the way up now. 25 miles an hour. Passing center stage, he's going to light those afterburners again and accelerate vertically, but watch now as he slows the airplane down. Assisting Captain Kettles in flying the aircraft is one of the best designed fighter cockpits in the world. While there are over 500 switches in the cockpit, a CF-18 pilot can make the necessary selections using the 16 buttons on the stick and throttle, thereby eliminating the need to look inside and find that critical switch during aerial combat. The pilot is faced with 3 television-like displays that present him with constantly updated tactical information. Watch now as he's setting up now. Totally in the cockpit, he can't see over the nose of the airplane. The high alpha pass. This was the maneuver that caused all the stress fractures in the tails of the early development of the jet. That was fixed as the air formed like a fist of air and punched the tails. The test pilots at the time looked over their shoulders and actually saw the tails waggling within inches of each other. Something they said they never wanted to see again. They fixed the problem by adding cleats to the leading edge of the wing, breaking that punch of air up, stabilizing the jet more. Flight management system is keeping him slow and steady right now. The high alpha pass at center stage, you light the afterburners, pull up the tail hook, and get a little more speed on climbing out vertically. Kettles is going to put the heat on. I love this maneuver. He's going to approach center stage at more than 600 miles per hour with full afterburners. Again, he's going to pull 7G straight up to the vertical, climbing at over 50,000 feet per minute. And let's listen as he sets up from the cockpit of the CF-18. All right, we're going to go to the cockpit now, the F-18. Captain Kettles, can you call the altitudes on the way up?
You bet, Dano. I'm coming back in looking for 500 knots. And it's going to be a 7G pull to the vertical. 490. 500 knots. Here we go, 7G.
Dan and Book are playing here all week, by the way. Where is he, John? Where is he? Somebody over to the right got him. I've lost him. I made the air show mistake of looking into the sun. Even where I looked out, I can see his last dodge. He's coming back again. It has to be moved now, Donald.
Listen, what are they going to do? Just leave it there. I'll get it after the show. Here comes Spook. Everybody give him a wave.
Off to the right of the CF-18. Welcome this weekend by SaskTel. All hits C95 FM, the CF-18 Hornet demonstration. Spook has had a great time here this weekend and has spent a lot of time with the fans. They had to park it in the wrong place.
Well, the people from Enterprise, the mine's out of Enterprise, and I was like, well, thank you ever so much, but, I mean, they're cool. They're cool. If maybe somebody's got extra keys, they'll go move it for me. I mean, I'd hate to really inconvenience the pilots, I mean, so they got to park somewhere else. I got an important job to do here. I got to try and make you sound good.
Maybe I should move the car for you, then. I'll get right on that.
Yeah, you just stay up there, big boy.
Booker will make his way to the show line, by the way. The other line comes off the country, so everybody's safety. All right, Bruce Hunter Sibling is over after the loss of It will be back a little later for its demonstration, but listen to that history. It's just a wonderful sound and tribute to our veterans coming up. And by the way,
All right?
there. Guys, could you just put it on the ground? Where?
Okay, well, let me make sure I get this right. So on the ground, but I want it over beside the Atco trailer in the pilot parking area, like kind of where they picked it up at maybe about 10 feet off to the side there. That would be good.
All right, I got to try this again, then I'll try and get them on the radio, but since the air boss, Donna's busy. They're dealing with air traffic, and the guys up in the tower, there's a lot of things going on other than your car, Dano.
Yeah, okay. Well, the Enterprise guy is coming over here right now to talk to me, and I have to assure him that the car is going to be exactly where I said I'd leave it. So there they go. They're coming back. Thank you, Donna. She's got the message through to them that we need it back over there, like ASAP. That's what they say in the hospital, ASAP. I think that's what they meant when they saw me come in. They said, "Here comes ASAP." It does look nice up there, though, doesn't it, Rick? That's a beautiful car.
I can't believe we're holding up a whole air show for you because you didn't know where to park.
Well, I'm sorry. You won't let me leave here, and we might want to tell them to hurry it up. We need it on the ground like now. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't mean that.
Well, that's what Donna's telling them.
No.
Well, she's got these big headsets on. She can't hear me now. She just tell them to put them on the ground now. Would be a good idea. Just now would be good, guys. Dan wants the car down.
No. Over by the Atco trailer. They're pointing in the right direction. Just keep going. Point to the noise.
Kids,
down.
what do you think, kids? Should they put it down now?
No.
I think the Yays have it, Dan.
I filled it up with gas.
This is a democracy. I'm sorry about that.
It's not.
No, it is.
It's a liberal government. It's not a democracy.
Yes, no, it is.
No.
It is.
No.
missed the...
Hollywood in 1995, fully restored to her full wartime configuration as she appears today. One of the greatest examples of American history in existence and shared by Canadians in the Second World War, the beautiful B-25 Mitchell. Two Wright R-2600 double cyclone engines, 14-cylinder air-cooled radial engines, rated at 1,700 horsepower. Aerial ballet in Pussycat 2. Rating is Cuban 8. Little sputter again. No inverted fuel system. Designed in 1939 by North American Aviation, the Harvard was the world's most successful military trainer, used by more than 40 countries worldwide. Over 20,000 of them were built by Canadian and American manufacturers, of which only a precious few remain flying today. To the inverted again. 3 and 4. He turned around into the box again with the hammerhead. 2 to night edge, 3, 4 to inverted. 5, 6 to night edge, 7 and 8 to right side up again. Turning, and Teresa is between the outer wings. Teresa on board. The showcat Gene Soucy getting airborne. Forward and Teresa wears, well, clothing that's going to be as aerodynamic as possible, but that will also protect her. So she lines that suit with some plastic, and that's all the protection she has. She's hanging onto the wires between them. And give her a big wave. She's there she goes, onwards, forwards, up into the sky. Teresa Stokes, wing walking. She loves this too, by the way. You had a chance to talk to her earlier today, and she's been out in the crowd with you there talking about their wonderful story.
To have some fun.
This Listen to the power coming on the show cam. They're going to get airborne, and Gene is going to fly a lot of the aerobatics that you saw earlier today with Teresa between the wings for now, and then eventually on the top wing. So here he goes. Smoke on means they're both ready, and into the box they come. Standing on the bottom wing, loose, just hanging on in the wires between the wings. Flies this big barrel roll. Reducing towers, Teresa's quickly climbing into these hurricane winds. Watch where she's going. She's climbing up onto the top wing now as Gene gets settled back down here in show center. Into the front cockpit and up onto the top wing. She's then going to strap on a waist belt attached to the wing stand and signals to Gene that she's secure and to us. Gene then begins Teresa's favorite part of the show, the aerobatics. And a big wave. Having a ball. Very accomplished artist, as I was mentioning. She's a very accomplished artist. You have seen some of her artwork on Aerosmith's album, Rocks. She did the album work for they come for even more thrilling. Big barnstormers just hanging on, waving around. I cannot imagine what this must be like. She must at times feel like that hawk earlier, just up there all by herself. And a big wave. Setting up for some more now as Gene climbs again for some more energy in these windy conditions. He's getting the airplane turned around. Teresa on the upper wind, and of course, hurricane force winds. Again, he's capable of about 190 miles an hour on the bottom. And at the top of some of these loops, slowing down to about 45 miles an hour. As you can imagine, that air, that wind can dry her out, dehydrate her rather quickly. In her gloves, the fingertips keep some mints stuck on the ends of her fingers. Uses those to stay hydrated from time to time. Readjust again and get ready for some more. But she adds her own flair to some of these maneuvers. In a moment, she'll be undoing that harness and floating very free on the airplane, moving around and showing us some of her own aerobatics on top of the airplane. go. That means they're ready. Building that energy now. Up and over. Somebody's getting beautiful pictures today. Get ready for this, folks. We're going to go back down the show line. The airplane will be upside down, so will Teresa. Be sure to get around. Upside down all the way from the show line. Oh my. Well, now she's going to undo that belt. The aerobatics are over. The passes are going to begin with her stretching across the stand at an angle she calls the side saddle. Remember, she's an artist, and if you have your telephoto lenses, this is absolutely beautiful. Some of the maneuvers she's doing now. She calls this the side saddle, and she puts her flair on these moves, and she's completely unbuckled right now and free. The side saddle. Out at the end. That's not easy work at all. I can't imagine that. Great to have him here for a magic Saturday Members Air Show. Very shortly I'll be sending things over to the United States Air Force for the next demonstration. And then after that, we're still good. We're using our wings to go a little bit over the Saturday. What's that, man? People from Bert. won't be able to make an outfit during the Sunday services. One other ticket outfit, for those of you along the fence line, building the bonus, unfortunately the fence has been pushed down, and we may have to stop the show, and that's the pop-up business. So remember, that's the working, the benefit performance, and one of the things here that we have to respect is the latest will understand and cooperate with that. Don't push the fence down. That's become a security problem for those watching the safety aspect of the show. They won't hesitate to stop the show and stop the show until it's fixed. The Tuesday, they're not going to take over, but we will appreciate the cooperation on that. How proud we are of this Canadian icon that claims the 35 years old, but that's the 35. It is a high honor. It is a honor.
Cause I need some breathing room. Baby, cool your jets is what I say. The consequence is what you'll pay. Behind my back, in your chest.
Used for the air cadets. Garbage, the volunteers will appreciate if you get it into the receptacles at the end of the day, and the volunteers in the parking lot do have a plan, so your cooperation there will be greatly appreciated after the snowbirds fly. And be sure and get in the exhibits, especially the one from the Netherlands.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, your 2005 Canadian Forces Snowbirds!
Set up for their next maneuver. You will see the top side of the Concorde formation. The stability of the entire formation depends largely on our two line of stern pilots. In the first line of stern position is Snowbird 4, Captain Dave Boudreau from Dalhousie, New Brunswick. Captain Boudreau also served as a maritime patrol pilot and military flying instructor. Flying in the second line of stern position is Snowbird 5, Major Chris Hope from Blenheim, Ontario. Major Hope also served as a military flying instructor and Air Force standards pilot. The team is now returning for the Concorde bottom side pass and loop.
Grew up in a small town, and when the rain would fall down, I just stare out my window, dreaming of what could be, and if I'd end up happy, I would pray. Something felt so wrong here.
Smooth and accurate flying is essential for our two inner pilots. Flying in the inner right wing position is number 2, Captain Paul Couillard from Montreal to Big Diamond formation for the classic Big Diamond roll and loop. The team is now adopting the arrowhead formation in preparation for the majestic maple split. In honor of the Year of the Veteran, the Snowbirds are dedicating the maple split to all the men and women who have proudly served our country so well, and with special remembrance of Sergeant Mark Leger, Corporal Ainsworth Dyer, Private Nathan Smith, Private Richard Green.
What was the promises? God on the tips of my tongue. Do we forget or forgive? There's a whole lot of life waiting to live. One day we're brave enough to talk with conviction on the heart.
For his hard work in organizing the Snowbirds visit to Saskatoon.
Don't go up there.
Launching formations posed by the team.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Oh, look what he's doing. Deadly.
Instructor. Watch now as they roll canopy to canopy with bare feet of separation. Watch as the entire formation rolls inverted for the amazing double take. Again, looking through.
When the sun comes up, you'll be flying high. Many love
That's it.
It's 100 on these guys alone.
As the Solos rejoin the formation, the Snowbirds would like to recognize and sincerely thank all the volunteers who've worked so hard to make this show such a success. The shadows grow tall. Deep down south there should wait. You walked out, didn't hesitate. Flying on the outside of large dynamic formations requires the utmost of piloting skills. Flying in the other right wing position is Snowbird 6. Big arrow. Big diamond, go. At this time, we'd like to salute all Canadian and line abreast formation. Watch as the entire team flies wingtip to wingtip with only feet of separation. Cockpit of Snowbird 1 Major Ian McLean. Hope you've enjoyed our show today. 2005 is the year of the veteran in Canada. To dedicate this pass to all veterans, please salute them with your applause as we salute them with the Snowbird 9 plane line abreast. Once I get you up there.